Hey everybody, Mike Miller with the Herald Times coming to you one final time this weekend from New York City, home of the Pinstripe Bowl. And yeah, that one ended, honestly, it was a bit of a microcosm of Indiana's season, a 44-41 Duke victory over there at Yankee Stadium. A lot of good, a lot of records, actually, a whole lot of records broken, both season, career, and bowl records for Indiana today, but there was also some bad. Some collection of errors, miscues, whatever you want to call them. A lot of mistakes, honestly, just kind of gave Duke new life time after time, especially in the second half. In a game that saw momentum swing really from side to side almost entirely after that first quarter. But it was Duke who got that final last push of momentum, both really at the end of the fourth quarter and at the end of the game on that missed 38-yard field goal by Griffin Oaks. We'll start there. It's a field goal that Griffin Oaks has hit many, many times before, 38 yards, nothing too crazy. He actually tried what I believe would have been about a 55-yarder at the end of regulation. That was hooked wide. I believe that was a product of a bad snap, bad hold. Just wasn't a great attempt all around. But second chance in overtime followed a field goal from Duke on that first possession, and that's where our controversy begins. The field goal actually looked like it probably may have been good. But it went over the top of the right upright, and officials ruled it no good. And it's not a reviewable play. Can't review a field goal if it goes over the top of the upright, I believe, is what the official ruling was. So the fact that it went over top of the upright prevented the officials from going to the monitors, the cameras, whatever, and checking that one out a second time, much to the dismay of Indiana on the field, at least. After the one official signaled no good, Duke spilled onto the field and did their whole confetti-filled celebration, and Indiana was just kind of ambling about, kind of wondering what just happened. Griffin Oaks ran over, tore his helmet off, and was wondering, kind of motioning to the officials, you guys see that? It went through. What happened? What's the call? But to no avail, the officials walked off the field, and that ended Indiana's season. At 6-7, Indiana returns home. As I said, end of the year, empty-handed, really, except for some of the Christmas memories they made here in the city. Big week for Indiana. Lots going on besides the football, but ultimately it was the game they came here for, and frankly, it was a game they should have won. 667 total yards of offense to the 536 yards Duke put up. Really, after the first quarter and a half, it was really that classic Indiana offense. They did so without Jordan Howard, who once again could not play due to a supposed knee injury, or what we believe to be as a knee injury. He was out there working out in pregame warm-ups dress. He was taped. He was fully taped, out there running around, doing drills, working with the return teams, really doing everything he would normally do prior to a game. He's playing and doing everything but actually playing in the game. Kevin Wilson said afterward it was Jordan Howard's call not to play, just wasn't feeling right. Wilson said that really all week they'd been practicing at Fordham on a turf field, and once he got on the grass, he really wanted to test out his knee, kind of see if he could cut around, move around, run around, just be his normal self, carry that normal load. And it was Jordan Howard's call that he couldn't do that. Obviously, that's a very valuable knee for Jordan Howard, who will now weigh a decision to enter the NFL draft coming up really the next week or so is when we'll probably be hearing more from Jordan in the next couple weeks, whether he's staying or whether he's leaving. But otherwise, it was Divine Redding who stepped in once again, and it was a fantastic game for Redding. Career-high 230 yards, career-high 35 carries, both of which were, I believe, Indiana Bowl records, program records set by Divine Redding today. Really good running from the sophomore. Once again, though, this, I think, is a real credit to Indiana's offensive line, which is just incredible, man. I doubt it'll be a while before folks around Bloomington see another offensive line with the strength, the overall skill, the athleticism, just the total unit that this offensive line formed this year. It was actually Divine Redding also broke through that 1,000-yard rushing mark first time in program history, Indiana's had a season with 2,000-yard rushers, which is just amazing when you think about. Really, last year, Tevin Coleman broke I think it was a 13-year drought between 1,000-yard rushers. I think Le'Veon Williams was 2001, the last time he cracked the 1,000-yard mark for Indiana. Tevin Coleman did it last year. Jordan Howard and Devine Redding do it this year. So that's pretty remarkable stuff. A credit to both Coach D'Lo McCullough, the running backs coach at IU, and Greg Fry and James Patton, who've teamed to get that offensive line and tight end group really working very well together. That's a really outstanding group. But this one really kind of comes down. There's some really good, some really individual good. Nate Sudfeld ended up throwing for 389 yards, 3 touchdowns, but really got off to a very, very poor start. Really, maybe the worst start of his career. The only time I remember Nate Sudfeld looking this bad was last year's Maryland game when he just couldn't find a rhythm, didn't have a lot of touch on his throws. And that was really the Nate Sudfeld we saw today. It's a very rare form of Nate Sudfeld, but really the lack of touch. It seemed, honestly, that there were some nerves involved, just kind of coming out in this bowl atmosphere and finally getting on the field. It took a while for Nate Sudfeld to finally find his footing. He did find that footing, early or midway through the second quarter with a 27-yard touchdown pass to Luke Timian, who is a walk-on, little used walk-on, really. I mean, I don't think a lot of folks really familiar with Luke Timian. We'd heard a little bit about him over the summer, but hadn't seen much of him. I think he only had 2 catches this year, really not used too much in an offensive role. But he did have Indiana's first touchdown of the day, and that really got Indiana's offense going on the way to a 600-plus yard performance. The teams combined for 1,200 yards of total offense. But once again, it was some of the mistakes that really did Indiana in, including a couple interceptions, the first of which came deep in Duke territory. It was an interception. Nate Sudfeld really tried to kind of force over the middle to Andre Booker. Instead, it was intercepted, and it set up, I believe, an 85-yard run by Sean Wilson on the next play. I believe that was the next play. Yes, it was. The next play right after that interception was an 85-yard run by Sean Wilson. But the game was tied 17-17 at halftime. I think really the most critical mistakes came there in that second half. And actually only first possession for Duke coming out of halftime. There was Indiana had a big third down stop. It was 3rd and 2, maybe 3, 4, 5 plays into that third period, and Nick Mangieri was called for offside, keeping a drive alive, a drive that ended with a field goal by Duke. There was I believe it was a big third down pass breakup by Marcus Oliver that forced the Duke punt team on the field. They punt it. Mitchell Page catches the punt around the 15-yard line, gets up to about the 20, and as he's being taken down, ball pops out, sets up Duke, and I believe that ended with a 10-yard or so. It was a 10-yard throw from Thomas Sirk to Braxton Deaver. And then there was another one. It was a 98-yard kickoff return by Sean Wilson. There's Sean Wilson again, 98-yard kickoff return early in the fourth quarter. Just a straight shot, really, from one end to the other. Just a series, really, of mistakes by Indiana that really kept Duke in it. There were so many moments where Indiana seemed to have momentum, but it really turned out to be fleeting momentum. It was momentum that was not sustained. And, I think that you can blame the field goal, the call, the botched call, whatever you want to call it. Really, I think those some of these mistakes that really did Indiana in. It was a game they should have won. I think Indiana honestly was the better team out there today. But really, it's, again, you can kind of look back all season long and see some of the mistakes this team made and where that left them, whether it was botched coverages, overthrown passes. Didn't see a lot of them, but did see some of them today. Dropped balls. Goodness, there was a pretty critical drop by Simi Cobbs. When was that? That was early in the fourth quarter. Simi Cobbs, who had an outstanding day, went over 1,000 yards for the season, had over, I think, 100 yards today, but he also had some really critical drops, just kind of Simi Cobbs' season there in a nutshell. Once again, that's kind of the microcosm we're talking about. Had a touchdown, what looked like a pretty easy catch there in the end zone, dropped it, and Indiana was forced to settle for a 27-yard field goal by Griffin Oaks about 3-4 minutes into that fourth quarter. So mistakes, missed opportunities, just really kind of gave things away at certain points. And really, I think that's when you look back at it, this was. I do think this whole season was a big step forward just to kind of get to this point, finally break through and get to that postseason game that this program's been striving for 4 or 5 years under Kevin Wilson. They got here, and really it was kind of like their whole season boiled down to about 60 minutes. So many moments of good, so many moments of mistakes, so many instances of mistakes, and moments you'd like to get back, moments kind of out of your control there with that last field goal in overtime by Griffin Oaks. So from here, team heads back to Bloomington tomorrow, Sunday morning, and begin prepping for the 2016 season. Boy, it's over. Kind of strange. But anyway, we are going to hang out here. I'm going to hang out here on the East Coast for a couple days because basketball's out here on, I believe, next Wednesday at Rutgers, and that's not too far away. And then from there, we are at Nebraska, and then finally, we're finally back in Bloomington. Early January, I think January 5th is the Wisconsin game, also the 1976 tribute night at Assembly Hall, so we'll be back in town for that. Otherwise, we'll be keeping an eye on a few things. Jordan Howard, whether he decides to go into the NFL draft. Dan Feeney, too. Dan Feeney's a guy who could be eligible to go. We'll see what he decides. And there's also, of course, the possible and, frankly, overdue, maybe expected contract extension for Kevin Wilson. We'll see how that kind of plays out over the next few weeks. Kind of thought it'd be done by now. It's not. We'll see if maybe the bowl was a little bit of a hang-up. Now that the bowl's over, now that they're just kind of recruiting, getting that class in order. We'll see where the extension falls on the to-do list. Otherwise, I didn't realize it just went 12 minutes. So I'm going to sign off, and we will catch up later for Chris Howell, who is very silently in the background. Chris, there he is. There's Chris Howell. Chris actually did make it after a travel snafu on Christmas Eve. Couldn't get here till, what was it, about a 12-hour, 15-hour travel day for you?
It was 9 o'clock.
It was a miserable travel day for Chris. Finally got here, did some awesome work. You can check out his galleries from the 9/11 Memorial and also from today's game on Herald Times Online and on the Hoosier Scoop blog. For Chris, for Andy Graham, for everyone else who's kind of been here this football season, it was a really fun season to cover. We'll be back in Bloomington to kind of check on things as they unfold over the next few weeks. Till then, see you guys.